the whole thing about multidimensionality is it's delicious because there's no limits, right? So we all have our own experiences of it. But if I had to summarize it in a nutshell, what I would say is that it is about moving out of matter-locked consciousness, which is personality consciousness, which is tangibility consciousness, and moving into a more open space on the interior where we begin to experience ourselves as souls, as the being that is present when the noise of intellect and action and running around and the world, when that dies right down, we get access to a field of energetic information, that's just the start of it. That's just us as souls. Okay. So from there, then there's the opening up of faculties of intelligence that are not typical, they're atypical inside ordinary states of consciousness. So those faculties of intelligence can include things like the four clairs: clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance. That's just the beginning though. And so there are higher frequencies to be in, to perceive, right? To be in perception, and also reception, and also marination. And so it begins to code the frequencies of our physical cells differently. So we begin to vibrate differently. And when we vibrate differently, we get access to new realms of energy and information, or energetic information. And this can sound a bit ethereal and a bit, let's say, intangible. But the trick is to allow yourself to stay in those other frequencies, the higher frequencies, long enough so that it can drop into the physical body. And in this space, when the mind is clear and spacious, and you're experiencing the energy frequencies in a higher dimension, from a higher dimension, this is clear open space is kind of like a waveform of energy. And so as we marinate in those waveforms of energy, we begin to tune to different levels and realms of information, and then it begins to drop through, in through the mental body, in through the emotional body. And then it can be translated into, through the mental body, maps, pathways, visions, clarities, insights, and then into practical reality through taking action, verbalization, journaling, whatever it is, yes, into the relational field then. So these are different ways I would express multidimensionality. There's another piece. So the piece is, I suppose, just to recap, so that piece about this experiencing oneself beyond matter as soul, the different multidimensional faculties like the four clairs that come online. And there's a piece about being in waveform rather than particles, so in accessing higher frequencies, allowing those higher frequencies to drop down through the different bodies: mental, emotional, physical, energetic. And then there's a connection with the beings that are non-physical, not in physical bodies, who are all around us, who we then have the opportunity to connect in with and to have direct communion with, connection, conversation with. And this is what happens when we begin to invoke, when we begin to practice these frequencies, lighten to become enlightened. And then we begin to, in a sense, have a pathway or a vehicle or a channel through which we can connect with these beings.